Are you giving up or are you giving it to God? I think these are two very different things. Hi, welcome. My name is Lativa Lachey. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I just have such a weird thing with this because I don't want to like welcome people to my channel. I want to welcome people to this video and not be super official about it. I do make these videos, they are God centered. And I will talk and reference a lot about what I'm experiencing along my journey and walk with God, um, in hopes that it can help someone else through what they're going through. And God has it on my heart heavy right now to be filming and recording. I'll be honest, I don't mean to come off as cold or indifferent at the moment, but I am not exactly in a space that I want to be making videos. Ladies, you'll understand this a little better. It is that time of the month, and I am just not really in the mood. But I am commissioned by God on my assignment, and I work for God. So, my obedience to God, and this is for men and women. So, forgive me if I feel a little off or not super thrilled about it. It's just that time of the month. It's just that simple. But there's something personally that I'm going through that God is working on me. And I'm sure there's plenty of you that will relate to this. And there's a big difference between giving up versus giving it to God. And that's going to be the topic of today's video and kind of the discussion. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Feel free to chime in on the comments. Please be respectful. If you're not going to be respectful, I'll just block you. It's that simple. We're not going to fight about it. Um, I think that there are things, I believe that there are things in life where it can look like we've given up, but sometimes like it's not even about like giving up. You just got to give it to God. I think a lot of us try to get ahead of ourselves and doing God's job. We're not God. We can never be. We can never even comprehend. And I think the devil has been the enemy, or just intrusive thoughts have been kind of infiltrating my mind and my head a little bit, that I'm giving up. And I've heard other stories and scriptures in the Bible, for instance, in particular, the Israelites. And I feel like I'm kind of in my wilderness. Like God already parted the Red Seas. I'm in the wilderness on the way to the promised land. And basically, when the Israelites were making it there to the promised land, the land of milk and honey, they still had to fight to claim the promised land. And I believe it was only Joshua and Caleb that were like, they, they were like, look, we got God. We can defeat these giants that are here on this land. It's fortified. There's a lot of people. There's even giants that are much bigger than us in size. But that's okay. We got God. Like we got all we need. And that was Joshua and Caleb's take on it. The rest of the camp, the Israelites, were like, nah, homie, we out. So it's like they literally went through all of that just to get to the promised land and didn't even get to the promise because they didn't fight for it. So even when God gives you a promise, like you still have to fight for it. And there's things in my life that I feel like the enemy is like reminding me personally, and I only share this not to make it about me, but to share what God is taking me through so that it can absolutely help someone else on their journey and walk. This isn't going to be a super long video. And I've kind of had these like defeating thoughts coming over me, like wondering if I'm giving up. And I'm like, wait, I'm not giving up. There's a big difference. Like, there's things that I have given to God because I know that this is way out of my scope. Like, I got to take this to HR because this ain't my department. And I've had to kind of wrestle with some of these thoughts like, oh, okay, like, yeah, well, we're not exactly here at the promised land, but my there's a lot of details behind the scenes. Like, first off, the beautiful townhome God just moved me in. However, this is attached to, I'm going to use this in metaphorical terms. The devil helped me sign on this, and the devil was basically, in order to maintain this, I would have to stay connected to work in an industry also signed by the devil. And even though it's confusing, and I'm like, God, you moved me here. Beautiful 2-story, 3-bedroom townhome, has front yards, front patios, backyards, and beautiful suburb area in Frisco, Texas. And I'm like, I know that where God guides, God provides, but God is not going to have me abandon God to receive the blessings God has for me. When I moved in here almost 40 days ago, which is also another crazy number in the Bible, because the Israelites had to wander for 40 years. There's just a lot of reference in 40 right before their 41, which is like the magic number. And I use this metaphorically, you guys, please. I'm not looking to be super politically correct here, okay? So any of the smarty pants, you want to be like, oh, well, let's not be too particular. Let's just, come on, let's give each other grace. I'm not in the mood to like have to do all this, because people can't just receive what I'm saying simply. So, which is interesting because excuse me, I have been here in my new beautiful dream townhome for 40 days, and I've had to surrender it over to God, because I said, God, if in order to maintain this, I have to stay connected to something from my past that I know you've called me out of and compromise my integrity, my dignity, my morals, my values, I won't do it. If I have to abandon God to receive a blessing from God, that's not a blessing from God, no matter how beautifully it's dressed up. Um, and I'm having a lot of wrestling thoughts that, oh, well, you were here at the promised land. You didn't fight for it. And it's like, no, I'm fighting for the new thing God has for me, the new wineskins, the new oil, the new anointing, the new life that God has for me. Not being attached to something, not being in a place that's going to have me stuck and gripped by things from my past that I know God has already called me out of, that God doesn't want me in, that is not suitable for all of the growth, the work, the progress that I have had, that God has done on me, in me, and through me. And so, God, I don't really know what else to do, but I believe that you are a God of suddenlies who will make a way out of no way. And I've just fully surrendered this to God. And I'm like, look, if I'm supposed to be here, you're going to make it happen. If I'm not supposed to be here, then I just trust and believe that you're going to get me to where I need to be. But I am fighting for the new things that you have for me. And the old things do not cut it. I'm not going back to them. I've surrendered them to you to bring me the new things. And so, kind of, the whole struggle has been, I think the enemy, like, planting seeds of doubt and different things, and just the logical mind can play a lot of tricks on you, excuse me. And so I've been sitting here kind of struggling, like, I don't know, am I giving up? Am I not giving up a fight? No, I'm fighting for the new thing. And my fight looks very different than it does for the Israelites, just like whatever you have going in your life that you're fighting for. So we also can't get too caught up comparing what our fight looks like versus what my fight looks like, what your fight looks like, the Israelites. Like, God has a promise, plan, purpose for all of us, but it's going to look very different than the next person. I just think that there are many concepts from biblical scriptures that we can take and chew on with a grain of sand. So again, let me really bring this home by saying, without being super repetitive, I'm going to keep saying it because it's helping my train of thought to really convey the message in the way that to kind of deliver this and bring it all home. So there's a big difference between giving up and giving it to God. And when we give things to God, to other people, it can appear illogical, irresponsible, lazy. But when you truly are on a faith walk with God in obedience, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You're not here to please people. But a lot of people these days are people pleasers. Like I just personally, even when I wasn't that close to God, I just wasn't a people pleaser type. I've always naturally been a leader, very much in my own lane, doing my own thing at my own pace, to the beat of my own drum, regardless what other people thought. So, but when we surrender things and give it to God, you have to understand you're not God. You cannot play God's position. And there are just some things you have to wash your hands of, that it's like, God, this is bigger than me. I don't know what to do. I surrender this to you. And sometimes it's all God's waiting for you to do. Like, thank God. I've been sick the whole time. God's like, yeah, you thought like you're waiting on me. I was waiting on you to surrender the things so I can now work miracles and magic in your life. And I do believe that that comes only once we surrender. We understand what part we play in the partnership with God and what part God plays in this partnership. And we cannot play God because we're not God. And there are just some things out of our control, that that's on God. And this is something, again, also, I feel like me and God in our partnership, I've been praying and seeking a lot of guidance, wisdom, enlightenment, understanding about, like, okay, God, what part do you play? What part do I play? You know, it's important to know so I don't get ahead of myself or my role. Because there's many times before going and diving deeper in my walk with God that I was trying to play God's position and mine. I know this is going to hit home for someone. I wish I had some like super cool roundabout way to like wrap this up and really like knock it out of the park and bring it home. But again, there's a big, just the point of this video is there's a really big point I'm trying to make here. There's a big difference between giving up and giving it to God. And these personal thoughts I've wrestled with, I'm like, no, 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 get out of here. Bye bye. No, I'm not giving up. And I've had to speak to this, and I'm like, no, there's a big difference. I have not given up. I don't give up. Even if I need to, take a little break for a minute, rest up, I'm going to get back to it. I don't give up. I'm not giving up on what God has put in my heart to do. But again, there's a big difference between giving up and giving it to God. And there's just things right now that I've just given it to God. So, what things or areas in your life do you think that this could apply to you? Where, because some people just give it up altogether. And those thoughts I've wrestled with, and that is not where I'm at. I've just given it to God. So, I'm going to wrap this video up. Anything else, God? Just sing it. You guys, I don't edit my videos. I'm not there yet. I like to keep it very simple. So some of it, like we can sit awkwardly in the silence together. Enjoy. I'm just going to think out loud for a minute. Yeah, I don't know. I did my best. I did my part, God. I'm showing up, even though I don't really feel like it. But, all right, guys. Well, hope this video helps someone. I post pretty much daily videos Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever God's put in my heart to share and talk about. And I might talk a lot about me and my journey, but it's only to help somebody else along their journey. And there's little hidden gems. And sometimes I'll open up with one thing and then it has me on a rant down kind of a rabbit hole. And it's all good stuff, though, I promise. But today I'm not really in the mood. So this is me showing up, even when I don't feel like it. And I did my part. So now, God, take it away. You do your part, okay? All right, peace out, guys.